I'm Grahame Wilson, and I'd like to thank the Sydney Mechanical School of Arts and the assistance of the Keneally Centre for this video. The Sydney Mechanical School of Arts was the first lending library in 1833 and is still present in Pitt Street in Sydney. Anyone can visit and spend some peaceful time there. I'd also like to thank the support of the Burns Bay Bookery for giving me the opportunity to display and sell my book, Under the Water, Under the Wire, and the Men Who Sank the Sydney. You might wonder what led me to write this story. I was always interested in underwater diving. Most of that was in Sydney Harbour, and I often came across mysterious pieces of wreckage. I was aware of the 3 Japanese midget submarines who came and launched an attack in the harbour. 2 submarines were destroyed, and I often wondered about the 3rd. By chance, my research revealed that a German submarine had been patrolling the east coast in 1945. Was there a connection between that and the man who sank the Sydney? 3 years after the German raider Cormoran sank the HMAS Sydney, 20 of the Cormoran survivors, including the captain, tunnelled to freedom from Dingle, the officers' prison in Victoria. Yet why, at that very time, near the war's end, was a German long-range U-boat patrolling nearby on the east coast? Based on truth, this story is unique as we explore a World War II conflict set in and around Australia, but from a German point of view. A human story. It begins with the crew of the U-boat and the dangers and stresses they faced, making their way from Germany through the Atlantic and Indian Oceans to Australia and New Zealand. At the same time, the story explores the story of the remaining 250 or so Cormoran survivors in their internment camps in Australia and their numerous endeavours to escape. Is there rescue nearby off the Australian coast? It's unusual to read an account of sea battles and internment in Australia through the eyes of the opposing force. Besides being an engrossing story, it gives an insight to some of the realities of war and the human struggle for survival by the men involved. Several years' research led me to write this book, which is now available on Amazon and iTunes, both as an e-book and in print. The book is also available at the Australian War Museum and has been reviewed in the September 2017 edition of Naval Historical Review. The review concludes, "This book makes fascinating reading. The characters are depicted authentically and compassionately. It's a valuable contribution to a little well-known aspect of Australia's wartime history." I found that as I researched and wrote this story, I was being carried along on a great adventure with an uplifting end. I hope that you enjoy sharing that great adventure.